This has been, without a doubt, the hardest video I've ever done. Not because it's necessarily hard to rank all the Mario games, but because this fucking video has been lingering in development hell for nearly 3 years. I've had this video planned since fucking 2020 for this series' 35th anniversary, but I kept putting it off for a multitude of reasons. But with the recent release of the Mario movie, I decided to finally take this damn video off of the back burner and make it. Also, just as like a heads up, I wrote this script before watching the Mario movie, but I'm recording it after watching it, and it's fine. 6 out of 10.
The monkey!
With that out of the way, however, Mario. There, intro done. I genuinely don't know how to introduce Mario in a way that hasn't been done millions of times before in other better videos. If you somehow don't know what Mario is, I'll give you a brief rundown of what this series is about. Fat Italian man rescues his Stockholm Syndrome Nog GF from an evil turtle.
Yeah, but I don't even know you.
I rescued you!
Yeah, but you expect... What kind of Samaritan are you? You rescued me just so you could get with me?
Jesus Christ, I'm not asking you to suck on my dick. All I want is a kiss. Do you know what I went through to get here?
Ooh, you leaped a bunch of mushrooms. I'm so impressed.
Well, you're the one who got captured by mushrooms. I mean, how the fuck does that even happen?
Don't flip this.
I'm not... You got kidnapped by something that goes on a salad.
Okay, it's a little more complicated.
And yeah, his games are really good. In the original draft of my script, I wrote this really corny introduction giving the history I have with the Mario franchise, but no one gives a shit about that, let's be real. Yeah, I grew up with this series and all, as did 98% of the human population, but I want to disclose on the games that I played a lot as a kid to keep up the suspense for the ranking. Now, as a disclaimer for the ranking going forward, I am only ranking the mainline games, meaning any spin-offs like the Mario Kart Party or any of the RPG or sports games will not be included. So I apologize to anyone interested on where I would put fucking Mario's game gallery on the list. Though there is one exception to this rule, and you'll see what it is when I get to it. I do, however, want to give a very honorable mention to the first Wario Land. This game is absolutely fantastic, and it plays nothing like a Mario game, but that's what makes it great. I was originally going to put it on the list because of that pesky little subtitle of Mario Land 3, but unfortunately to it, Wikipedia doesn't have it listed as an official part of the Mario series, so I cannot include it. Though if anyone is wondering where I would put it on the list if it did count, it would be number 11. Anywho, I got 19 games to go through, so let's just jump right into it.
Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to a brand new video.
Before I reveal what this game is, I want to take you guys all the way back to December 2013. I had just come back from being in Florida with my parents for Christmas, and over there I bought an eShop card. Now, if you remember from my DSi War video, I was never able to get anything from the DSi shop, and I was not about to make the same mistake with my Wii U. I wanted to get as many games on that thing as I could, and when I was coming home, I was filled with anticipation to play Super Mario Bros. 3 for the first time. But if you recall, Super Mario Bros. 3 wouldn't be on the Wii U until the following year, so instead I got Super Mario Bros. 2. No, not that one, the other one. There we go. And to this day, I have never filled with so much immense disappointment when playing a video game. Well, that's not true. There was Mario Party 10 2 years later. Ugh. I'm of the opinion that there is no objectively bad mainline Mario game per se, but this one comes awfully close to crossing that line. Like, this game is charming in its own stupid way, but there's so much of it I don't like. Going from the games that perform this game's main gimmick so much better, like Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze and Super Mario 3D World, it never occurred to me just how forced and deprived the pluck and grub mechanic really is. Like, you can't kill enemies by stepping on them like every other Mario game. You have to pick them up and throw them, which is annoying because not only is it more time consuming and tedious, but there's really bad depth perception issues where I can't tell exactly the direction the enemy is going to land because of how inconsistent the physics are. In other words, skill issue. Speaking of physics, another thing I don't like about the game, Luigi. I hate the way he controls so much. His physics are so goddamn awful because his jump is so damn floaty. I hate it with every fiber of my being. Peach and Toad are fine, I guess, and with the more balanced nature, Mario really is the best character to play as in my opinion. Plus, honestly, this is the one game out of the NES Mario lineage that I see myself going back to the least. Why would I ever want to play this game again? This game isn't really that good on its own, and any standout elements it has were done in other better games. In other words, this game doesn't interest me at all. It's boring. That being said though, there are elements of this game that I do enjoy. The soundtrack is really good. Hell, I'd even say this game's main theme is better than the main theme of the original Super Mario Bros. I enjoy this game's distinct art style and say that it's the best and most visually appealing game out of all of the NES Mario lineage. It's so commendable how colorful this game actually is, giving the NES's notorious color limitations. Like, comparing this game to Mario 3 makes the dull desaturation and gray tint of that game all the more apparent. And I do appreciate this game in the long run for being the inspiration for other games to come out later down the pipeline. So even though I may not like this game, I still say that I'm happy it exists and encourage you to try it for yourself. Who knows, maybe you'd end up loving it. And tell me in the comments why I'm a fucking moron for not liking it.
My favorite time of the day. Breakfast and a little morning television.
Yoshi is cute.
No.
I really like Yoshi.
Wait.
Everybody really likes Yoshi.
Wait.
With that being said, Yoshi's Island and the entire Yoshi series sucks fucking big gorilla cock. I'm not gonna go too in depth in it here because I do plan to make a video on the entire Yoshi franchise in extreme depth and explain in excruciating detail why I hate it so much, but I'll briefly go over it here. Like, there is nothing objectively bad here, unless you want to count the fucking demonic shrieks from Baby Mario. Yoshi's Island Super Mario World 2 is objectively a good game. It's just so fucking boring. If there are any Kirby fans watching this, have any of you heard of the criticism surrounding the series that it's a little too cutesy and easy for some, and how the overall experience is so dull and uninteresting that it lulls them into a state of pure boredom? That's the Yoshi series. The storybook aesthetic coupled with the sweet music just makes me feel like taking a nap. Like, goddamn, holy fucking shit, this game may be a little too calming for its own good. Like, don't get the wrong idea, on their own these elements are phenomenal. Yoshi's Island is arguably one of the most gorgeous video games of the 16-bit era, and everyone who worked on this game should be immensely proud of themselves. I just for the life of me cannot get into any fucking Yoshi game I play because of how boring they all are. Especially that, like with Kirby games, I never feel challenged because of how easy the platforming is due to Yoshi's flutter jump. But at least to Kirby's credit, his games actually have legitimate substance to balance out the overly cutesy and easy exterior, like with the copy abilities, how his moveset gradually evolved into being more combat oriented as the series went on, etc. Yoshi isn't like that. This game is so boring that sometimes I deliberately run into an enemy so that Mario's banshee cry can wake my ass up. And there are some things I really like for example, Yoshi's moveset, the vehicle sections, and the bosses have some really cool moments. And honestly, those are the only parts of the game that I can stay awake through, especially the final boss. Anyway, yeah, Yoshi's Island is an incredibly boring game, but I'd still rather play it as opposed to Mario USA because at least it's more structurally and sufficiently sound.
We've got to have money.
Back in the 1930s, there was a medical procedure that treated neurological disorders such as depression and schizophrenia in patients that was ever so growing in popularity. The procedure in question being the lobotomy. During a lobotomy, the prefrontal cortex is severed from the rest of the brain, and the results of the surgery vary from patient to patient. Some have died from the surgery from too many complications to count, or have died from suicide after it. Some were left permanently mentally handicapped, and there was the rare lucky one that was left mostly unscathed. The Soviet Union was the first country to ban the procedure due to its unsafe nature in the 1950s, and other countries followed suit, and by the 1970s, many countries had banned the practice of lobotomies, putting an end to its brief but dangerous legacy. But if for some reason you ever wanted to experience the feeling of getting a lobotomy, the best way for you to do so would be to play New Super Mario Bros. 2. In my very first draft of the script that I no longer have, I originally grouped all of the New Super Mario Bros. Games together because of how similar they all are, but then I realized how dumb that was for many reasons. Spoilers for later in the list, I guess, but I really do like the original New Super Mario Bros. For reasons other than nostalgia, I assure you. And grouping that along with this slop is giving that game a huge fucking slap in the face. I know that we live in the age of hyperbole where people have to exaggerate their opinions and thoughts to the most extreme extent to have people interact with them, but I honestly mean this with no exaggeration whatsoever when I say that New Super Mario Bros. 2 is one of the most nothing video games I have ever played in my entire life. This game is nothing, and thinking about it makes me actually mad because of how much of a wasted opportunity it is, but I'll get more into that in a moment. This game is incredibly generic from an artistic and level design standpoint, point, no music in the game is original to it as far as I know. The stupid mini bosses in the towers are insulting because of how easy they are. And yes, I know they're a callback to Super Mario World. Shut up. Actually, all the bosses are pitiful here, but that's really an issue for a lot of Mario games, especially the new Super Mario Brothers games. The fact that this is the only game in the quadrilogy that doesn't have Bowser Jr. should speak volumes, but on top of that, I hate the forced Mario 3 nostalgia pandering. Like, Super Mario 3D Land just came out a year prior, whose whole identity is tied to the Tanuki suit. We don't need another game to do that too. Like, this game just makes me want to play Super Mario Brothers 3 instead, simply for being a better game and actually requires me to use my brain. You know what? No, fuck the raccoon and the Tanuki suits. What pisses me the hell off the most is the missed opportunity surrounding the abundance of coins. Like, really think about it. If Nintendo must force elements of a previous Mario game into this one, don't have it be Mario 3. Instead, have it be Super Mario Land 2. Think about it. Due to all the coins, you can easily have the main antagonist be Wario. Yeah, remember when he was an actual villain and not just some guy? Instead of forcing the Super Leaf in another game, you can instead have the main power-up be that goofy ass carrot. I mean, Rabbit and Raccoon Mario pretty much have the same function, albeit executed in a different way. And hell, you can even have this game take place in Sarasa Land and give it a much needed modern update. Like, I don't think Daisy has been in a mainline Mario game since, well, the original Super Mario Land. Like, have Wario hold Daisy hostage and force Mario and Luigi to collect a fuck ton of coins to pay off the ransom he's holding her for or some shit. Actually, better yet, have the game focus on Luigi and have Mario be the player too, and release the game in 2013 for the whole Year of Luigi thing. Now, like, we need a new Super Mario Brothers 2 in 2012 anyway, considering we would get another new Super Mario Brothers game later that year. I don't know, do something, anything rather than nothing. Like, that concept I just presented does more with the coin gimmick than anything this game does. You want to know what you get for collecting 1,000,000 coins? A different title scheme. Fuck you. Why are there coins everywhere if it doesn't correlate to the story or gameplay at all, apart from incredibly shallow power-ups that only last the longest a whole level? Because video game. Even though this game is generic garbage, it angers me more than any of these games because I can see the potential in the coin gimmick and the masterpiece this game could have clearly been, but this game is literally just nothing. I feel nothing but emptiness playing it, and it's a game I only play when I need a distraction for an hour and nothing else. Okay, I think I got my point across. Let's move on before my head explodes.
Now it's yours forever! Lost forever!
If you go into any video game fandom and ask people what is the worst game in that respective series, you're bound to get a mixed response depending on who you ask. What's the worst Sonic game? Some will say Sonic 06, others will say Sonic Boom, a few may even say Shadow, and then you have that one guy who says something weird like fucking Sonic Drift or some shit. Worst Zelda game? Wind Waker. Oh wait, now it's Twilight Princess. Wait, now it's Skyward Sword. Even though all of these are factually incorrect, the worst Zelda game is actually Majora's Mask. But with Mario fans, it's pretty much unanimously agreed on what the worst game of the series is. Yeah, there's a certain Mario game that many people hate for being dated gameplay wise and being quote unquote too hard, and I'm here to say that that game isn't as bad as everyone says it is, not even close. And that game, of course, is Super Mario Brothers The Lost Levels. First off, is this game dated? Yes, of course it fucking is. This game came out in 1986. Did you really think it's going to hold up incredibly well by modern standards? Like, does the fact that you have to restart worlds from the very first level once you get a game over suck? Or how a lot of the game's challenge rides on you trusting the terrible physics enough to accurately judge how far you jump sucks? Yes, of course they suck. But if your reason for not liking it being that it's dated or too hard, I'm sorry, but actual skill issue. The game isn't bad, you're just bad at the game. Stop blaming video games for your lack of skill. That aside though, I really don't have much to say about the game itself. It's good for what it is, but it's so similar to the original that talking about Lost Levels itself kind of feels pointless, since all my thoughts in it go hand in hand with the original. The only reason why Lost Levels is so low on the list, despite me thinking it's an overall good game, is because of how derivative it is to the original. I didn't even think Lost Levels is the hardest Mario game there is, let alone the hardest platformer of its era. If you think this is hard, play the NES Mega Man games. I'm sure you'll have a blast with those, fuckhead.
I did not care for
I want every single one of you to look deep inside yourselves and ask this very simple question. What's the most overrated video game of all time? Some of you may say Fortnite, or Minecraft, or any Sony game post Last of Us. But personally, I don't think any one of those games comes close to what I consider the most overrated video game of all time. And that game, of course, being Super Mario 64. Oh, were you expecting a fake out? That's nice.
I'm a jump scare.
I cannot stress enough how much unbridled rage I feel whenever someone ranked this game above Sunshine, Odyssey, World, Mario 3, and fucking Galaxy. What is it about this game that makes it special? And don't give me that bullshit saying you're nostalgia or, oh, it was revolutionary for this time. Man, shut the fuck up. This shit I'm about to take is fucking revolutionary, but I don't see people giving me the recognition I deserve. But like, I honestly do not understand the hype for Mario 64 whatsoever. There are only like 7 worlds that I actually like going to and don't find boring. Like, does anybody seriously jump for joy when they go to that stupid ass maze place? No, of course you don't. But you won't criticize it because you're fucking nostalgia blind. Most of the worlds are boring at best and fucking atrocious at worst. Like, Rainbow Ride is honestly, without any exaggeration, one of the worst stages I've ever played in a video game. Like, it's so fucking bad that it's incredible. It doesn't help that there are only like 10 or so tracks in the entire game, and they all get grading really fast, especially with how overplayed they are both during the game and since its release. Like, if I have to hear Slide again, I am going to fucking kill myself. Plus, I don't know if it's just me, but the overplaying of the same 10 tracks every so often gets some of the stages mixed up in my head. To this day, I confuse a Jolly Roger Bay and Dire Dire Docks. Though admittedly, there is one track I love, and that's the final boss theme. I love Oregon so much, and the final boss theme makes me fucking swoon. Actually, the best Bowser theme in the franchise, in my opinion. Wait, actually, that's another thing about Mario 64 that bothers me. The Bowser fights suck. Well, to be fair, they suck in a lot of games, but the Bowser fights in Mario 64 are so tedious and not fun. At least the Bowser fights in the new Super Mario Bros. Games are so pathetic that it's funny. Waiting for Bowser to do his slow ass attacks just to slowly build up momentum and throw him into a bomb and somehow miss when I perfectly aligned it sucks big dick. Actually, you know what? Fuck Bowser. All the bosses in Mario 64 sucks penis cock. I did not find out until recently that Big Bully is actually a boss, and I started laughing hysterically because it was so easy that I thought it was just a fucking regular ass enemy. Either that or the bosses are really unmemorable. Like, the only reason you remember King Babam or that stupid ass Thwomp were because of how pathetically easy they were and because they were so early on in the game. Though there was one exception to this, and that's the fight with the big ass hands in the period.
What?
But other than that, try to tell me a single boss from the game apart from the one that just mentioned that you remember. Yeah, you're having problems, aren't you? Well, that's because all the bosses are fucking terrible. Why the fuck do people love this stupid ass game so much? Like, there's so much of this game that just doesn't click with me, and I don't think ever will. Like, I fucking hate the flying cap so much. I think it's abhorrent to control, and I think at this point in the franchise, the flying power-up was getting redundant. The camera's pretty clunky, and the game just overall doesn't interest me in the same way that the other 3D Marios do. Why would I ever play this again when I have games that are more innovative and experimental with its setting and gameplay? I don't know. Super Mario 64 is an overall good game. I can admit that. The glitches are fun to exploit, the non-linear mission structure is pretty cool, and I really like Mario's versatile moveset, and I would really like to see it return in a future game. Plus, Peach's Castle is really well designed and fun to explore. There are some standout stages that I do like a lot, like Bomb Battlefield, Womp's Fortress, Lethal Lava Land, Tick-Tock Clock, and Shifting Sandland. But to say that this is the cream of the crop in terms of the fat Italian man's games is honestly laughable, because while Super Mario 64 is a good game, that's all that really exists in my mind, and nothing more. Just a good old-fashioned 6 out of 10 experience. Oh, and if you're wondering what I think about Super Mario 64 DS, honestly, it's better than the original. Yeah, I said it, and if that bothers you,
Well, how about next time you get a board that can handle the Neutron style? Later,
It's a me, a Mario.
this may sound weird and like I'm a fucking idiot, but hear me out. The original Super Mario Bros. Is kinda underrated. I know it's one of the most iconic and easily accessible games of all time, but do you really hear anybody talk about it in the same way as they do Galaxy, Odyssey, or that thing? No, of course you don't, because the only thing I hear when people talk about this game is its significant impact on the gaming industry.
Super Mario Bros. Continues to be regarded as one of the best video games ever made. It's a release that helped shape gaming as a medium and has been the central inspiration for thousands of games that followed. check out our most influential series on Mojo Plays.
And it gets really annoying. Nobody gives a shit about this game for what it is because of how far its successors have come, and it's been somewhat overshadowed over the years as a result, which is fair, don't get me wrong, but the original Super Mario Bros., it's still a very good game. In my eyes, the original Super Mario Bros. Is the best game in the series to speedrun. The endearingly simple level design, decent physics, and secrets galore all culminate into an experience that's not super in depth, but like I say all the time, not every game really has to be. I love this game simply for just being a fun time and infinitely replayable. Once I beat it, I'm just like, okay, let's go beat it again, but this time let me try doing it a little faster. Not only that, but it's also the little things that I really like the backgrounds and sound design. Sure, it's kind of primitive by today's standards, but I can't help but like it a lot regardless. It really stimulates my brain and puts me in a really happy mood. I don't even know what else there is to say. This game is just really good. You know it, I know it. It's Super Mario Brothers. What more is there to say? You know, out of all the new Super Mario Bros. Games, New Super Mario Bros. Wii is the one I have the least to say about. Like seriously, what is there to say about this game? The forced motion controls suck ass, same with the final boss fight, and I know you couldn't see the motion I did with my hands, but I put boss fight in quotes, as it's not so much a boss fight, but more of an endurance test to see how much of your patience will be tested during this tedious ass stage. The Koopalings are fun to see again, but their fights are embarrassing, especially if you have the propeller suit. Seriously, the propeller suit, as cool as it may be, is broken as hell. Also, I'm not sure if this is an unpopular opinion or not, but I don't find the Wii mode at all comfortable to hold on its side. It feels more awkward than anything due to how slim it is, but that's not at the fault of the game itself, and more so the console it's on. But yeah, that about does it with all my problems with it. Yeah, the level design and art direction is incredibly basic, generic, and not memorable at all, but I can forgive it at this point in time, given that at this point, there were only 2 new Super Mario Bros. Games released, and the state 2D Mario was in at the time. There really isn't much this game does any different than the original. I literally had to search the fucking Mario wiki to see what there is to talk about, because like, there's nothing to talk about. I know I've been hammering that in this whole segment, but seriously, what the hell do you want me to say? Oh, it controls well and the multiplayer is fun. Bitch, that's all everyone ever says about this game, because that's all there is to say. Like what? Do you want me to talk about those stupid ass horde stages that appear on the world map? They're fine. The power-ups are fine. This game is fine. It's a perfectly fine, forgettable experience I will probably never think about again. Now let's move on to the games that are actually fun to talk about. Jesus freaking Christ.
Oh, Daisy, Daisy.
Yeah, that's right. I deadass ranked Super Mario Land above 64. What of it? Sure, this game is complete jank and hasn't aged well at all, but I don't know, I still like it a lot anyway. Like, this game has an indistinguishable charm that no other Mario game has since been able to replicate. Like, the game's flaws are a lot less egregious to me compared to all the other games on this list, because it was released on the Game Boy in 1989. Like, it'd be like bullying Pong. It can't help being the way it is. But yeah, in spite of its flaws like deceptively heavy physics and whatnot, this game is still really good. First off, let's do away with the elephant in the room. The game honestly looks really good. What, did you expect me to belittle how a game looks on Game Boy? It's Game Boy. Honestly, I think it's adorable how small the sprites are and how they just barely represent what they're supposed to be. Like, look at this Goomba. Come on, that's adorable. Plus, I like how different this game is compared to the rest of the series. The game doesn't take place in the Mushroom Kingdom, the main antagonist isn't Bowser, and you don't rescue Peach. Instead, you rescue Daisy from this really horny alien. It's really refreshing, honestly. Also, I love how this is the one and only game in the whole franchise that Daisy is in some sort of peril. Kinda like how she actually gives a shit about the state of her being and her kingdom, unlike Peach bitch ass. Plus, this game has unique quirks you won't find in any other Mario game, like fireballs dubbed super balls here. Laugh. It bounces all over the damn place. Is it annoying? Of course it fucking is, but I like it anyway. And the Koopas explode once you jump on them. Like, is that epic or what? Plus, like the original Super Mario Bros., this game is infinitely replayable because of how short and easily digestible it is. But unlike Super Mario Bros., this game has a bit more substance to it, despite it being significantly shorter. Like vehicle segments that are actually really fun and control better than you think. Too bad the stages are like 5 seconds long. Seriously, you you blink and the stages are over. Also, I love the art direction this game is going for. It gives off the vibe that Sarasaland is the Mario universe's equivalent to Egypt, and the art direction really immerses me in this world, despite the limitations of the Game Boy's hardware. Like, damn it, this game is incredibly charming and wonderful, and I feel like people don't give this game the credit it deserves because it came out on Game Boy. Well, I'm here to say that Super Mario Land is a good-ass game, and I'm tired of pretending it's not. I really do feel guilty ranking this game so high because New Super Mario Bros. U isn't anything special at all, but fuck me, I can't help but like it a lot anyway. And no, it's not because of nostalgia. I may have nostalgia for this game, but I also have nostalgia for Marvel Superhero Squad The Infinity Gauntlet on the DS, and I have no problem admitting that game is ass. So I wouldn't rank this game as high purely on that alone. But I prefer this game a lot more than the other New Super Mario Bros. Titles because its existence doesn't anger me like 2, nor does it leave me shrugging with how little substance it truly has like Wii. I just feel like this one has more to it than the other two. Like, for the first time in these games, the main power-up does not feel completely overpowered. Instead of flying, you glide down the levels. It adds nice balancing to it because it makes completing stages easier while not feeling broken as hell. Plus, it's nice to glide down the levels and you will get a little boost by pressing the back triggers, and performing the boost is so satisfying to me because of how big and bulky the Wii U gamepad's buttons are. Whenever people talk about this game in particular, I always hear them talk about the world map and how every place is connected seamlessly together. And yeah, while that's cool, it doesn't really add anything in the grand scheme of things to be all too significant. Same with the plot. Like, wow, instead of kidnapping her, Bowser takes her castle under his control. Wow, like, who gives a shit? I mean, to be fair, that opens the door to some pretty cool final levels and a badass rendition of Peach's castle theme from Mario 64. But in short, these are pretty neat additions that make this game differentiate itself from other installments, but not enough apart from that. Now, about the stuff about this game that's actually cool, Baby Yoshis. I didn't like them when I played this game as a kid because I thought their gimmicks were annoying, but now I think of them as the opposite. Their abilities are really fun and they offer some really nice variety in terms of how you want to play the game. My only real complaint with them is that it makes no sense how they follow you from level to level, but the adult Yoshis can't. Like, does anyone else find that strange? Personally, my favorite Baby Yoshi is the yellow one. It being a light source in the Boo houses is sweet, but this little bastard eats the fucking ghosts. Like, is that cool or what? Plus, all of them sing the theme of the stage you're playing, which immediately invalidates all negative criticism of this game. Apart from the story mode, you have these side modes, like Boost Rush and Challenge Mode. They're here, they're fun, that's all I have to say about them. It's just more New Super Mario Bros. U, but with added challenge. I will say though that Boost Rush is probably the funnest part of the whole game because of the adrenaline you feel trying to speedrun these courses with the stages of going faster and faster. Really good stuff. Personally, I feel like people don't give New Super Mario Bros. U enough credit simply because of when it came out, releasing too close to games that are so similar to it in terms of level design and general art style. But if we don't take just the game's generic elements into consideration and look at the game as a whole, you'll find that New Super Mario Bros. U is actually a really good game.
There's nothing on earth like the feeling of
Super Mario Land 2 6 Golden Coins is my favorite forgotten Mario game. Thank God it was recently put on Nintendo Switch Online so more people could experience it. How I first got to play the game was getting it on my 3DS with the extra money I had left on the eShop when I was making the DSiWare video. And honest to God, this game was incredible. First off, this game is a fucking technical achievement. Like, holy shit. Compared to the original, this game has improved sprites, backgrounds, and sound design. Like, goddamn, sprites, this detail came out on the Game Boy. This is SNES quality sprites, and the fact that it looks this good on this piece of shit is amazing. I know the more detailed sprites and backgrounds causes some slowdown on an actual Game Boy, but I've never played this game on an original model, so I wouldn't know, but let me know down below if any of you guys have experienced it. The physics and overall feel have improved a lot since the original too. Like, I know people hate hearing this criticism of older platformers, but the original Mario Land felt a little slippery, or at least for me. This game not only has more balanced physics, but it doesn't feel slippery at all for me, which is perfect. This game also has the most inventive and out-of-the-box set pieces in any 2D Mario game. One level could take place in a beehive, the next in a library, and another in a fucking whale. A whale, ladies and gentlemen. Plus, like Super Mario 64, this game has a non-linear narrative structure, meaning you can complete any of these worlds or zones in any order, which is great. And hot take, but the magic carrot is a better rare power-up than the Super Leaf, Cape Feather, Wing Cap, and basically every other flying Mario power-up. I'd say it's second to only the Red Star from Galaxy. Why would I make such a bold statement? Because it's really fun to use and doesn't control like ass. But above all of this game gave us Wario, the most epic character of all time. Though fortunately to it, unlike these poor souls, is that fans actually recognize this game's strengths and say it's one of the better Mario games, which thank fucking God that Mario fans have some standards. Some.